Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Chorale conversation. My name is Nadine Phillips. I'm the Development Associate and Community Engagement Liaison for the Santa Fe Desert Chorale. And today we're going to be talking about one of our community engagement projects, which is very near and dear to me and to many of those in our chorale community. The project we're going to be talking about is our Hearts in Harmony program. And here to help me talk about the program, we have the leaders of Hearts in Harmony, Sarah Nickerson, Angela Gabriel, and Jim Goulden. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us.
Hi.
Hi. So for those who maybe aren't familiar with Hearts in Harmony, I thought we would just talk about just basically what the program is, how long it's been going on, and how you three got involved in the program.
Cool.
Yeah, Sarah, do you want to start?
Sure. Um, first of all, thank you for having us to talk about this program that's also near and dear to my heart. I'm a singer with the Santa Fe Desert Chorale, and I've been singing with the chorale for 11 years. I can't believe it, something like that. And about 2 years ago, the executive director at the time reached out to me and asked if I would be interested in leading this program. And my initial response was, I have no experience. I have no experience. I've never conducted anyone. I've never led a singing group, really. I've been a singer, but I haven't really led a singing group. And she reassured me that the most important thing was showing up, which is kind of 99% of life. So I then shared that the only way that I would do this is if Angela Gabriel said that she would join me. That was the only way that I felt like I had the the partnership was really important to me, and to have someone as talented as Angela, and that she's also leads in singing groups, community choir or community singing, and her expertise, her knowledge, and also her general greatness in musicianship, piano player, drummer extraordinaire. And then amazingly enough, with that, her husband Jim also decided that he wanted to be part of this cool thing, and so every week Jim would show up with his guitar, or Jim showed up with his guitar and joined us at the sing. So it became this real community of people that showed up every Wednesday at the shelter, and that's how I came to be in the program. We'll start there. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Angela, do you have anything to add? Or Jim?
Um, I just, yeah, I guess I'll add a little bit that, so I had been associated with the Desert Chorale as a percussionist. And then also several years ago, there was a different executive director who had started an outreach program at the Boys and Girls Club. And so I got to be part of that program as an accompanist. And it just, I was so moved by what happened there with the kids, and how I would see them just bloom and be so excited. We'd come into the building, they're like, oh, yay, we get to sing today. And so I love the fact that the Desert Chorale has these outreach programs. And so when Sarah asked if I would be part of it, I knew that it would be a quality program, because Desert Chorale is like top notch. It's one of my favorite organizations to get to be involved with. And so as I started doing that, it was just such a blessing, because Jim, he started coming as a volunteer and just loving it. And then when one of us would have to be gone, he would sub for us. And I feel like we've created this, it really feels like family, what we've created there. And walking in every Wednesday morning and getting to see familiar faces and getting to know people, and then having people make art for us, and showing up, and people would have items of clothing and they'd say, oh, Angie, I thought of you when I saw this. So yeah, it's become a very special part of my life.
Yeah, and so yeah, just to reiterate, it is a very unique outreach program to the Santa Fe Desert Chorale in that we go in weekly to Pete's Place, the Interfaith Community Shelter, and we sing with anyone who wants to join, for guests, many of whom, or the majority of whom, are those experiencing homelessness. And I am newest to the group. I've only been with the Desert Chorale since September, but I remember it being, and it was also something I didn't know about right away with the Desert Chorale. And when I found out about it, it kind of sealed the deal for me, wanting to be a part of it. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's so special that we get to all be there. And I think 2017 is when the program started, correct? And so then you guys came in a little bit after the beginnings, correct?
Yeah. And I can say that my experience, I had been to a couple of the sings prior to when Angela and Jim and I kind of came into it, and it was a very different experience. It was really truly felt like a rehearsal. And where there was the conductor in front, and they were keeping time, and everybody was lined up, and it was a totally amazing thing, and it was very different than even I guess what I desired for it to be. And right away, one of the first things that Angela and I did from the beginning was put everybody in a circle, in a semicircle, so that it really truly felt like it was, no beginning, no end. We were all leading, we were all singing together, and that in itself shifted. I feel like it shifted the, I guess the companionship. It felt like all of a sudden we were together. We were companions on this road, and we just happened to have, a piano or a keyboard in front of us, or a guitar, or I was standing up singing, but it created this equality and companionship that I think really changed how it felt in the shelter. I could feel it. It was a vibrational change for me. I don't know if you felt the same thing, Angela and Jim, when we kind of started that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And especially since so much of what I do, I've accompanied a lot of choirs, formal choirs, but most of what I do is actually not with music or not with sections, people saying, oh, I'm the soprano or I'm an alto. It's about a singing experience.
Participating.
Yeah, and it's the idea that it's the participation that's so important, not the how close you are to perfect, or making sure that we're singing it the way it says it is. It's more about just being there together and experiencing these songs together. Sometimes the songs are an escape. Sometimes the songs are a way to process through certain experiences or share certain feelings together. And I've always felt like there's this beautiful quote, I believe it was Issei Maria Barnwell from Sweet Honey in the Rock. She said, singing is our sword and our shield. And it's the thing that protects us, and it's the thing that helps us fight and come through situations that might require some change. And so to be able to go in and move from this idea of this rehearsal performance outcome based to an experiential, we're singing these songs to because this is our life. Mm-hmm. I felt like that, but we do have a couple performances each year. And that's always a hoot to go out into the main room and sing for everybody. And then we get to have members of the Desert Chorale come when they're here. and it's just awesome.
I've had such a wonderful experience being in this position and inviting in friends from the Desert Chorale and having them come and join us. And the witnessing of being in the moment and being brave, and to use our voices in a way that that is a little different than when we're rehearsing for a chorale concert. I mean, it's a different experience, and neither is less than or more than. It's just the way it is. And but to for one, a memory of mine is we were doing Johnny Cash. What's our favorite? And one of the bass members of the chorale was there, and he was kind of sitting back, not really participating too much. And then Angela and I looked at each other and like, well, we got to use the bass. So we basically forced him to be Johnny Cash. But in that moment, it was like this change and this feeling of, oh, this is not a normal experience for this person. And it took a lot of courage to kind of get out there and sing. And the great thing about our community of singers at the shelter is that they are the most supportive group that one could ever have in their lives. I mean, it doesn't matter what happens, it's always a victory. It's always a victory. So, and that's just one of like the little moments where the chorale and the communities and the community shelter sing happened and coalesced, and it was really a sweet moment for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think back to, when we could all physically be in the space together, and I think of, people doing their solos or making up their verses and stuff like that. And it's great to not only have this place where you can express, but where you can create something that is then supported by everyone else in the group.
That makes me think of the Hearts and Harmony Blues.
Yeah.
That we co-created based on coming out of conversations of what the reality was like, because we don't go in there and try to pretend that it's all, rainbows and unicorns and happy joy. Even though we have a really good time, we cry, we shed tears, and so when we wrote the blues together, it was based directly on people's experience, like I ain't got a car. I can't go very far. I'm carrying around this 50-pound bag, and everything I own is on my back. And to be able to sing that together and to create that together,
that would be fun.
And yeah, joyous. And then to pull that back out, because we had written 2 verses, and then maybe a few months later there was another verse that came out of it when Jeannie added her experience of she'd been in her car and then even lost that. And so, yeah, that co-creation, I think, is really powerful. And like Sarah said, it's not a bunch of people sitting there feeling like we're the ones in charge and they just happen to get to come. It's like, no, this is all of our creation that we are making together.
I felt like I think about it a lot. Like I walk into that shelter knowing I have a roof over my head. I have shelter. I have something I can go back to every day. Yet the power of the Interfaith Shelter Sing is that I never feel like I'm different. It's like this, there's a universal thing, there's a universal sensation that happens through us singing together, that I never feel like there's a whose load is heavier, whose load is lighter, I never sense that at all. I've gone through life experiences of my own struggles, and I bring it to the sing, and I'm totally held and not and actually thought of outside of our Wednesday experience. I feel it. I feel the support coming from all of the friends that I've met at the shelter. And the cool thing is that the circle kind of has started to expand past our little room, and it goes through the main room of the shelter and then into the kitchen. And in the kitchen, volunteers will often come in and take a little listen, and then they go back to the kitchen singing. Or there's going to be someone at the front. They always have someone checking in people when they come in to the shelter, and those people will come in, get a little taste of a song, go back out, be refreshed, have a new experience to bring to the rest of their time at the shelter. It's really been like a family. We've created that together.
And there are certain songs that we always know.
Yeah.
Okay, this is going to bring people in, like Folsom Prison, or when we start singing Stand By Me. Everybody, and Come Sail Away.
Come Sail Away, yeah.
You hear the whole room, the whole place is going to carry on.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's that kind of community that is so powerful and healing that I think we're all craving so much right now. And it's really hard to not be in that space with all of our friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we are. Do you want to?
Go ahead, Nadine.
Okay. I was going to say, but we are really working to try to reinvent or adapt the group into the current circumstances. So we've started a virtual Hearts in Harmony that we do every Wednesday in the afternoons now, not in the mornings. And we do it via Zoom and Facebook Live simultaneously with the hope that we can engage some of our original people and bring in some new people who might not have known about the group or experienced it. We have just had our third week.
We did 3.
Oh,
Once here at my house and once from our separate locations.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we've done 3, and we're, starting to figure out how the group is working and how to cultivate it and stuff like that. And I think I was even a little like, oh, I don't know if it's going to feel the same. I don't know if I'm going to, get the same stuff out of the songs, not actually being in the room with everybody, but oh my gosh. And I feel it while I'm multitasking Zoom and Facebook, like I can, feel everybody singing, and all that community feels so good to have once a week.
yeah.
Can I put out a request to everyone? I know a lot of people probably have old, maybe an old tablet or an iPad or an old Android smartphone or something sitting around that they're not using. And if they could wipe those clean and then put just donate that to the Desert Chorale, then we could put Zoom on it and we could give those. I've been asking around to anybody that I know that might have an old phone or something that they don't mind donating.
Sure, yeah, donating to some of the guests at the shelter. I think that's a fantastic idea, because it is hard to try to meet people where they are when we're kind of forced to be using all these different technologies that we don't all have the same access to.
Yeah, and they don't need a phone service or anything like that. They just need to be somewhere where there's Wi-Fi, and there's a lot of free Wi-Fi out there right now.
Yeah.
So.
Or just a regular phone too. You can also log in just with a flip phone.
True.
Cool.
I don't know that.
Yeah, I found that the online experience has been definitely, I'm learning a lot, and but being that I teach Nia, and I'm doing this, and there is a quality of connection that happens, and that I feel like is so important right now, that when we can move our bodies together, or we can sing together, there is this powerful healing that can happen even over a computer or through Zoom or through Facebook Live. And it's almost one of those like amazing moments where I didn't know it was possible until it was possible. And that's how I feel about this Hearts in Harmony. We have a few people who sign on with Zoom, and it's actually grown already. We already have incrementally 1 to 2 more people. And of course, I think the main goal for us is to do our best to get the information to our friends that were singing with us on a regular basis. So I believe Nadine, she put up flyers in all the places that they're staying, and also at the shelter. And with Angela's idea, I think that's fabulous. Any way that we can ease the access to be part of the Hearts in Harmony singing every Wednesday would be great.
Absolutely. Any other final thoughts?
Anybody who's watching this video, you're always welcome to join us. Wednesdays at 3:30.
Wednesdays at 3:30.
I just want to make one comment that one of the most sweetest things that happens over at Pete's when we do our circle is that people always say, I look forward to this every week. Mm-hmm. This is the highlight of my week, and I don't want to miss it. Mm-hmm. And that just is priceless to me, that people just are like, can't wait for it, because it's the healing circle. To be able to sing together is healing, and we go process emotions, and we have them. We have our emotions, and everybody feels that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and I totally hear you, Jim, and I completely agree. And I feel like through music we find our stories, or through our stories we find music, either one. But we have this list of songs that people can really find themselves in every week, that they can look at and find a way of expressing themselves, if they're not wanting to talk about their lives, but they can sing their lives. And so and it's every day. There are people who come to the shelter literally for the sing, who have found homes, who have now have homes, and they come back every Wednesday. Or when we were there, they would come back every Wednesday. It was such an important part of their lives, and that just speaks to the power of how we can create change through community connection and
Yeah,
song.
absolutely.
Thank you, Desert Chorale.
Thank you, Desert
It's a
Chorale.
community effort.
Yes, and thank you to all the supporters of the Desert Chorale.
Yes.
And
Thank
Pete's Place, the Interfaith Shelter,
Amazing.
bring us the fantastic space to do what we love doing.
Incredible people over there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Amazing.
Joe and everybody that works there is just most amazing.
totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
they deserve all the shout outs. Absolutely.
And they're funny too.
They are funny. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, the three of you guys, for taking the time to join together and, share Hearts in Harmony with everybody. For anyone watching, if you have any more questions about the program, or you're thinking maybe you want to join us at some point, that's great. You can send me an email at nadine@desertchorale.org, and we'll get you going. You can start singing with us.